Hi and welcome to the Sewing Studio. I'm Anna, and in this video I am going to demonstrate to you the Brother Airflow 3000 Overlocker. I'm going to talk you through its features. I'll show you just how simple it is to thread. We'll do some sewing. I'll show you its capabilities, everything that comes in the box, and then we'll talk a bit about warranty and support. Now we split all of those into chapters, so if there's a particular section you're interested in, feel free to head straight there. Now, overlockers tend to get a bit of a bad reputation for being difficult to thread. I don't think that's the case, but if that's the experience that you've had, then this machine could well be the one for you, because the loopers are threaded with very simple air technology. The needles also have a built-in needle threader to help you thread the eye of the needle. So it's a 2, 3 or 4 thread overlocking machine, which means you can achieve various different stitches. So your standard 4 thread overlock or 3 thread, a narrow 3 thread, as well as a rolled hem, things like a blind hem, pin tucking, sewing in elastic, all things that you would be able to expect to do on an overlocker. Now you can alter the width of those stitches between, I think it's around 2 to 5 millimeters, and then length is around 2 to 4 millimeters. And those are easily changed with these dials on the side here. Now, as I say, threading is easy, but there is a colour-coded thread path for you as well. And the tension dials are lay-in tension dials, and they're much easier to thread than kind of the dials that you have on the front of the machine. Down inside here is where you find the looper technology. As I say, that threads by air, very simple. Stay tuned for the threading to watch it. It is mesmerising. And then everything else has kind of what Brother called quick change, quick release levers. So for instance, if you want to switch between overlocking and a rolled hem, there is a chain finger here, and lots of overlockers, that's a piece that you physically have to remove, but there's just one switch in here that you can just retract that out the way. Same with the cutting knife, there's just a simple lever down here that you can just move that out of the way when you don't want to cut the fabric. And you can also change the width of the cut with the dial on here as well. And then if we pop this back up, there's some guides on here for your seam, size of your seam that you want to achieve, that you can follow to make sure you're getting nice, consistent results. I'm just going to pop that back up there. And then the feed teeth, there's always 2 sets of feed teeth on an overlocker, and then it has what's called differential feed, which is operated by this dial down here. So when that's on number 1, the teeth are feeding consistently the fabric through. If you had a tricky fabric, for instance, you can reduce the differential feed, and that means that the front feed dogs will be sewing slower than the ones in the back. So for things that tend to pucker and stuff like that, it's really, really good. On the other side of the coin, if you increase the differential feed, so go higher than 1, these teeth at the front go faster, so then you're in effect achieving a gather, but that's also really good for stretchy fabric that tends to ripple. It kind of takes that ripple out of it as well. The pressure can be altered on the foot here with this dial up here, and that's really good again if you're using quite fine fabric that can get chewed up on the teeth. You can relax the pressure off so that that can flow through nice and easily. And then the whole side of this machine opens up so you can get in there to keep it nice and clean. You've also got a nice large working area here as well. Now it's quite quiet for an overlocker, and it's very fast as well. It can sew up to 1300 stitches per minute. So what comes in the box? Well, the machine will arrive like this with the standard foot already attached, and a blind stitch foot, one for gathering, and a piping foot, as well as this range of accessories. And then you also have your combined power lead and foot control, an operation manual, a nice little case that all these bits fit into, and also a trap bin that just fits on the front of the machine, like so, and then that catches all your bits that you cut off, so it keeps it all nice and fluff-free. I couldn't say that, could I? Fluff-free on your lap is what I was trying to say. Anyway, let's move on to the sewing section, and I'll show you the awesome air thread technology and how easy it is to thread and its capabilities. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that the presser foot is up, and that's this lever here. And that means that the tension discs are now open so they can accept the thread. So we're going to start with the loopers. So I'm just going to pull the cover down and across. Now, as I was saying, this is air thread technology. So what we need to do is lock the loopers in position so they're all connected so the air can shoot the thread through. And that's very simple to do. So you want to put this switch into the lock position and then turn the hand wheel towards you until the two lines that are like the line on the machine, the line on the wheel are lined up. Hopefully you heard that click then, and they've now locked into position, so I can't move those. So we can now thread the loopers. So firstly, you're going to follow the numbers. So we've got number 1 up here, and then you go around into number 2. Number 3 is just in under there, and then down and in behind that one for number 4. And then you've got 2 holes here. One is U for the upper looper, which is this one, and then L for the lower looper, which is the one we're doing. So you just want to get yourself some loose thread and then pop some of it in the hole. I like to use the tweezers sometimes just to feed it down in. About 1.5 inches, 2 inches you want to put in there. Leave that loose and then press this button and voila, the thread is through the looper. And then you can just pop that through, take it out around there and in under the foot. That's that one done. And then for the upper looper, exactly the same. In that one, go down, thread, put some in the hole, get yourself some slack, press the button and hey presto, that's done. So I'll just get that under the foot, go out the back. And in there. So that's your loopers done. It's as easy as that. Before you close the lid, don't forget to unlock them, otherwise you'll try and start to sew and you can't. But that is what this safety light is for as well. So you just want to flick that back up and then they are no longer locked into position. And then for your needles, because of this guide down here is accessed only from the right, you want to start with the left one first. So 1 and 2 again is in the top, number 3, and then we're following the numbers around. So number 4, 5, there's a guide here, and here it's showing you to put the left needle on the left side of that guide. And then in behind the last thread guide at the top of the needles there. And then for the needle threader, so we're doing the left needle first. So you want to move it over to the left and then go up. There's number 7 there. So you just want to put it along the top, cut off the excess and then go down and up. And there's your loop at the back there. Just grab that with the tweezers. And the eye of the needle is threaded. So I'll just pop that under the foot as well. There we go. And then lastly, you've got your right needle exactly the same in under number 3, 4, around number 5. This time you're going to the right of this guide, in behind this last one. Pop the needle threader over to the right because we're doing the right needle. Cut the excess off and then I'll just pop that one under the presser foot as well. There we are, super easy to thread, nice and quick as well. So you'll notice that this red light is still on and that's because the presser foot is still up. So if I pop that down, that's gone out now and we can sew. So before you go bombing down with your foot on the foot pedal, you just want to turn the hand wheel gently and check that your threading is correct. And what you're doing is feeling for anything getting caught, if anything's tight. That all feels fine. So I'm going to pop my foot on the foot pedal, pulling these out as I go so it doesn't get jammed up. And I can see that that's all nice and neatly looping as I would expect. So I'm going to sew with some cotton first, and I'm going to keep all the tensions on number 4 and we'll see what that sews out like. So you just want to lift the presser foot, pop the fabric underneath and make a start. Now overlockers are generally noisy by the very nature, all the components that they have, but actually this one is a lot quieter than a lot that I've used. So that's the first result with everything on 4. And you can see you've got your left needle and your right needle sewing your seam. And then the upper looper is forming the loop on the top and the lower looper is forming the loop on the bottom. And that's exactly what we're aiming for tension-wise, where the two loops interlock right on the very edge of the fabric. So that's a great result straight from the off. So we'll move on to a denim. This is a 10-ounce denim, so kind of a medium weight. So it's a bit thicker, but it's still just as stable as what cotton is. So at this stage, I'm not going to change anything on the machine, and we'll see what it's like. So it's coped with the thickness of that, no problem at all. And as suspected, the stitch is still perfectly fine on this type of material because it's got no stretch or anything else. And again, your loops are interlocking over the very edge. Now the whole point, or part of the point of having the overlocker as well, is that your seams are nice and robust. So with this denim now, you can just fold your seam one way and then carry on your sewing machine and do your nice neat top stitch down there. When it comes to a thicker, stretchier fabric though, so I've got some fleece here that's got quite a bit of stretch to it. So again, my starting point is 4 all across the board, and we'll see what that looks like. So actually, tension-wise, that's absolutely fine. Our loops are on the edge of the fabric, but you can see where it's got the stretch, it's started to ripple slightly. So what we want to do in that instance is change the differential feed so that the front teeth are moving slightly faster. So it's almost gathering as it goes, and that counteracts this stretchiness. So this is the differential feed dial here. And to make them go faster, we need to increase it. So it's not too much waviness, so I'm only going to increase it by half for the moment, and we'll see what that's like. Okay, and that's much better. You can see how it's sitting a bit flatter than it was before. So I'm going to go up to number 2 now to really get those moving faster. And you can see now that that is sitting lovely and flat. So that's how you use the differential feed to gain better results with the different fabrics that you're using. And that's what you need to do with an overlocker sometimes, is go through a process of elimination on a sample piece first before you embark on your actual project. So when it comes to going thicker on this type of fabric, so we've just gone through one layer if you just wanted to edge a blanket, but if you were making something with fleece or, you know, with knitwear or something like that, we'll fold that over, and then I'm not going to cut this edge, so I'm going to disengage the knife. Now, this knife is different from a lot of overlockers. It doesn't actually retract down. It basically locks in position. So it's quite handy because you can use it as a guide as well when you're sewing. And you do that by moving this lever into the locked position. So here you've got a symbol of a knife cutting the fabric, and here you've got a symbol without that, basically. So now that won't be moving up and down to cut the fabric. So we just want to make sure that we keep along this guide here with the edge of the fabric. So I'm just going to pop it under the foot. And you can hear that that's working slightly harder, and it will because it's thicker fabric in there. And you just want to make sure that you're taking it easy on the foot pedal. Now you can see when we've doubled it up, we've started now to get some tension issues. And that's why I've done this, to say you might have it right when you're going through one layer, but then as soon as you change something, always make sure you do a sample first. So what I'm going to do here now is, what have we got? So they're looping over the edge too far. So I'm going to increase the tension on both the upper and the lower looper. And then we'll go again. I'm just going to snip those off because I'm not cutting. So I just pop that in underneath as far as I can go. Oh, hang on. Note to self, I'm going to just be going over that, aren't I? Because I'm not cutting. So let's engage the knife again, and then I'll cut this piece off as we're going so you can see the new result with the tensions. Okay. That did need a little bit of help just at the start there to get it through past the knife to cut. And as you can see, that tension is much more consistent. And then you've got your loops interlocking on the edge as we'd expect. So it's very simple to use, but there are things that we as sewers need to do to make sure that we're getting the very best results on the different types of fabric that we're using. So this machine comes with 3-year warranty for domestic use and then a 1-year warranty for commercial use. In the box you'll find this card which explains it to you and how to register your machine with Brother. And don't forget that we're here at the Sewing Studio as well for any help or advice that you might need. So now I hope you're excited as I am about the Brother Airflow 3000, and I've lived up to my promise of just how easy it is to thread. Now if you've decided that this is the right machine for you, great, head on over to our website and grab yours now. Delivery is fast and it's free.